What's the conversation around, self-love, self-appreciation, and the desire to wear a wig?
Honestly, really not even a conversation in that aspect. It's more so a conversation of convenience. What I did was and this is when I realized value, I saved them time because I'm coming to you every 6 to 8 weeks to do a new install of weave, where that is going to save you maybe 3 hours in the salon every single week.
So I know that you'll agree, enjoying myself while I work is the vibe that I'm trying to be on. So I want to invite you guys to Sidebar ATL here in Atlanta, Georgia. Sidebar, on top of the good food and live music, they have 3 different experiences. That means you can join me in the garden room, in the gold room if you want to try the top of the line hookah, and they also have the dungeon where I hear what happens in the dungeon stays in the dungeon. So it's the perfect mix. If you're here on business or you want to blow off some steam after work, you can meet me at Sidebar ATL so that you can have a little bit of dinner and then turn up afterwards if that's your jam. So check us out, 79 Poplar Street here in downtown Atlanta, or you can call 678-800-0741. Let's get it. Work and play at the same time, right? Welcome to another episode of the Work and Play Podcast. I'm your host, Ariel, and we have a really special guest today, Mr. Darius Boone. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm glad you're here. We're going to have a really good conversation.
I feel it. I do.
It's already, we've been cutting up before the episode even really started. So without further ado, would you please introduce yourself to the folks?
What's up, people? My name is Darius Boone. I'm the CEO of 1111 Extensions. We make designer wigs for coaches, CEOs, and corporate women.
Yes, now you said it's so cool. When I look at him, I think of the Neo of the hair business, like the Matrix, because I be like, super cool. No, like, you know what you got to do it smooth. That's how I see him. And so getting to know you, I've got a chance to see you evolve a little bit as a business owner. But one thing is for sure, I wanted to talk about this before we even got into the conversation. You were like, I hope she know I wasn't in corporate. I was like, listen, of course I already knew. Yeah. And even though we talk about my journey specifically, but also my clients and other people who have been on the show going from corporate to entrepreneurship, what I realize is some of the things, like the motifs of us learning how to transition, they are all consistent in the same realm. Yeah. So much of the stuff that you've experienced, that you're going to share today, I know we're going to be able to relate. Yeah. So great. We're going to get into it.
Let's go.
Okay, so you said 1111 hair extensions.
Yes.
What exactly is your role in your business? What do you do?
Ooh, that's a good. Come on out the gate. So my role in 1111 Extensions right now is CEO and operations manager. So I am the person who makes majority of the decisions, and I also handle day-to-day operations.
Now it's a process to get into that level, right? Like becoming a CEO in itself is a lot. So for you, in terms of like where you went in the hair business to where you are now, like what brought you to the CEO operations role?
The journey itself. Being in the salon, I felt like more so of a worker, and I felt like I didn't have any control over anything. So once I left the salon and I had time to really just sit still and kind of figure out which direction I wanted to go with the business, I realized, okay, you need to really drive this thing instead of letting it pull you around. And the operations manager portion came once I started to brain dump and realize, once I'm delegating tasks, there needs to be a head of command to kind of run everything and oversee everybody.
Yeah. Now, as we talk about the CEO development, we were talking about offline before we even got into the podcast, just like how you've learned to create processes in the business and time management. So can you talk a little bit more about like the direction that you're going in as a CEO as it relates to the education that you talked about a little bit?
So for the education, I just want to basically teach people how to get to where I am now. Most of us in this industry, we don't see the end game. It's just, I'm gonna keep working this until I can't work it anymore. And I've talked about it on my social media before. Most hairdressers either end up retiring from behind the chair and having to get a job, which is what we don't want to do from the beginning, or they fizzle out because they lose their shine, trends start to change, and the customers start to move in a different direction. So I want to really help people who are behind the chair learn that you can make money, and a lot of money, without trading your time for money. So we want to get into just getting them in the right direction, whether it's developing a product, a course, or taking your actual skill and teaching other people how to do it, and just automating the process. I never knew about processes and systems until I left the salon.
Listen, from a client's perspective,
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you how important processes are to me. Like for me, like my schedule is extremely busy. And I was telling you, as you were talking about building your podcast,
Mm-hmm.
having someone come on as a loctician, a professional loctician, it's important for me because I will pay $100 more, like just off the fact that you keep me within the time parameters that I signed up for. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand.
Like right now, I think people are losing a lot of money because like I value a professional who does hair, who like really cares about the follicles, who knows what they're talking about, as opposed to somebody who can just do a cute style. Because I want to care about my hair.
Yeah.
So you started off as a hairdresser. What type of hairdresser were you? Are you still trying to get a leg up on your entrepreneurial career? Now, I told you about the Morning Meetup, the community that was created for the betterment of entrepreneurship. And we are cooking up some really cool things. Now, here's the thing. If you join today, you can actually get in for 60% of the original price. So if you join today, all you have to do is download the app, and I provided the link below so that you can join us. We have community, we have a book club, and it's the largest group that meets every single day, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. to literally get a head start on entrepreneurship. So if you're still trying to grow, you don't know what your business is going to be, but you know you want to be an entrepreneur, this is the community for you. So check out the Morning Meetup, click the link below, download the app, and join us today.
I was definitely the hairdresser who made sure that you had a lot of real hair, but I also made sure that you bought a lot of extra hair as well. So I was good at both. Like I did really good installs and extensions, but one thing that I took pride in with the extensions is that all my clients had their edges. And I used to say, we brag differently. My girls still got all their edges. And even now with the wig company, my customers have really nice hair because I convinced them that, these wigs are more so, it's a look, but it's also a long-term protective style. So I always cared about the integrity of the hair. And girls like you y'all are starting to come out now, but for a while in the hair industry, the girls didn't really care. They just wanted to look. And I think that's why we have this divide in the industry, because there are stylists who will knock out an install and it looks great, but the foundation is rocky. They're not gonna wash your hair. They're not gonna do a lot of things for you. And then you have people who really care about the integrity of the hair. So you kind of just gotta find a person who aligns with what your values for your hair are.
Can we talk a little bit about where to find them? So I'm outside looking in. You're in the industry. I feel like when I look around, there's no disrespect, and I like the way you characterize the wig as a long-term protective style, because
got you.
I was like, I guess you're right. Like you can protect your hair, and then the brag is your edges, because growing up, a wig was a joke. You get what I'm saying?
Times
like
have changed.
Snatch the wig off. So my perception is outside looking in, right? So like, where do you find, or how does a person find a hairdresser that is the type that aligns to them?
Well, I had this conversation on my Instagram a while ago. You have to look for certain things. You have to look for the type of customer that they are displaying first. You have to look at the type of places they're serving their customers in. If this looks like they are servicing people in a home or in a area that doesn't hold a certain standard. Some people have beautiful salons. You know where you're going. So you have to look for those types of things, and I will always look for a license. As a licensed cosmetologist and a salon owner, you're supposed to have licenses displayed. If you go into a place and your stylist does not have a license displayed, that is not a professional stylist. They're probably not going to know the ins and out of, servicing the real hair itself and the scalp. So you just got to look for certain things. And my point is, I'm not gonna go, like if I were to go to a barbershop and I see Raekwon posting people smoking blunts in there and you know, people with face tattoos. No offense, but you know, a certain type of scene, I wouldn't go there. But if I was to see the barber who is at work dressed a certain type of way, I'm seeing guys in suits and turtlenecks and cashmere sweaters. I align with that a little bit more, so I'm gonna go there.
This is good, because a lot of like when it comes to these like career transitions, it's about who we have to show up as.
Yeah.
The traditional career advice is don't look like the job you have, look like the job you want. And it sounds like you subscribe to that same like perception, like where it's like if it's clean looking, if it's prestigious, they have the profession, they have the license. What's your thought process on like, you know, experienced hairdressers versus like the ones who have the certification without as much like 20 years of experience?
The experience, the OGs really know what they're doing. They really know what they're doing, and I feel like they get lost in the sauce because trends change. And once you kind of find your niche and you're good with it, you don't really expand. The new ones are more favorable to some people because they know the new trends. So they know the new trends and they haven't quite learned how to value themselves. So it's less expensive. So it's like, I can get this for cheaper and I know you know the new trends, so let me go over here, versus me going to an older established stylist who might not know the new trends, but the integrity in the work is there.
That's big. That's big. Speaking of value in self, this is about you.
Okay.
So we gotta get into your story.
Okay.
I would love to know, so you were a hairdresser before CEO, and there was a Darius before hairdresser. So where did you begin your love for hair?
You know, I honestly feel like I've always had a love for hair. Even as a small boy, like I would just like girls with nice hair. So I feel like it was always there. It's kind of faded away for some years, you know, as you kind of finding yourself, and it kind of reemerged when I was probably in my late teens, early 20s. And it was because of me. Like I've always been like a really clean cut guy. I used to go to the barbershop twice a week, and my mama was like, I'm not about to keep paying for these haircuts 2 times a week, so you need to figure something out. So what I did was I learned how to cut my own hair. So once I started cutting my own hair, I began to cut other people's hair, like my homeboys' hair, and that just kind of became the thing. Like the boys would be at my house, I'd be in my mama's dining room cutting hair. And what happened was, oh, this is so bad. I always felt like I could do girls' hair because I'm the only boy in my family. I have sisters, aunts, cousins, everybody is a girl. I've seen girls sit down on Saturday evenings, get their hair combed for the week. So I always felt like I knew how to do it. But I was on Craigslist one day and I ran across an ad and it was like, you want to make $10,000 a month? I'm like, yeah, I want to make $10,000 a month. I'm probably like 21. And it was an ad for a salon. I was like, wait a minute, wait. So you telling me that these hairdressers is out here making 10 bands a month, and I'm like, how are you doing that? Because I'm doing haircuts and I'm charging $15, $20, and I'm just like, oh, the ticket is higher for women's services. So I politely went down to my local beauty supply, bought some tracks of hair, bought some mannequins, and I played around with it. And I'm like, okay, we're gonna get this. So I played around with it and I was not that good, but I started to post the work, and that's when I kind of learned marketing and like advertising your work. So I started posting the work, and girls started really coming to let me do their hair, which
Was it good in the beginning?
Girl, no. Looking back on it now, no. I still have my very first albums from the first heads that
Oh my God, you gotta send me some pictures. You got to. Because wait, so here's the thing. You didn't like it, but did your clients like them?
For the times, it was cool.
Yeah.
Like, it was cool.
Like the swoops.
The invisible parts, the swoops, the bobs with all the layers. Yeah, all of that. Did all of that.
Yeah, so it makes sense to me why you decided to go the wig route. As a man, and I don't know if I can make this differentiation, but $10,000 got you, number one. And then it's like, how can I do this? If this is the industry where I can make the money, this is how I'm going to get into the hair. Yeah. So I understand like the money was the route, why wigs, not cutting, not like natural hair, not silk presses. There's so many different routes you could have went. So that's one of the things that got you. But one of the things that you mentioned earlier was like you always had this passion for hair, but like through finding yourself, there was a time where it kind of like you just was like, nah, I don't want to do it. And then it hit back at 19 years old where you saw the flyer. So like as you're growing up, right? You had the love for hair, and then it goes away.
Yeah.
What are you now interested in doing? Are you doing sports? What are you doing?
Absolutely not. Not doing sports. I think during that time, I really was just trying to fly underneath the radar. Like,
Really?
I've always been a bigger boy, so I was always seen, but I was just trying to figure it out, trying to fly underneath the radar. And also what played a huge part of my loss of interest in hair during that time was the simple fact that during that era, male hairdressers weren't glamorized the way they were. It came with a bad reputation or, a stigma that came along with it. And at a young age, I didn't want to be associated with that. So it was like, nah. And I've always been a bookworm. So I just got into my academics and I did school and I tried to take the traditional route. Like, hey, let's go to college and do those things. But that wasn't for me.
Yeah, no, it's interesting that you're faced with the stigma that society places on a role. And there's so many different stigmas, but the one being male hairdressers, you're faced with that decision early on, and that forces you to try the traditional path, right? Now, you got into the books, you started becoming you said you were always a bookworm. What subject, tickled your fancy?
Honestly, it was science. So the first thing that I wanted to be so many different things. The first thing that I really, really wanted to be was an OBGYN.
Okay.
So I'm fascinated with life and bringing life into the world. So I was into that, and I was probably 14 at that time. I remember I actually volunteered in labor and delivery when I was 14.
Oh my Lord. I'm thinking back to when my goddaughter was born and I was so traumatized.
Yeah, and I quickly regrouped and I was like, okay, let's do something different. This ain't it.
Okay, so science, OBGYN.
So it was science first, and then I've always just been kind of quirky and into all types of things. I wanted to be a coroner at one point in time because I just found fascination in death. And then after that, once I got a little bit older and I got a little seasoned, I became interested in philosophy and psychology. So when I was in college, I studied psychology.
What did you want to be? Did you want to be a psychiatrist, psychologist?
Because I feel like I'm really good at sitting down, talking to people, and I'm a good listener.
Really? That's dope. Honestly and truly, if we think about it, the right hairstylist can be a good therapist. It goes
hand in hand. I feel like the reason I did well was because I had that background. My customers came in my chair and they poured out to me and they never felt judged. And I'm giving you solutions for the problems while we're sitting there.
Absolutely.
So we got an action plan. Yep.
Absolutely. But talking about this is your operation side of things. I love to have a good conversation, but can you still keep it within time frame?
I used to keep it. One thing about me, that schedule was laid out a certain type of way, and I used to tell people all the time, you know how you get off at 5 o'clock? I do too, and I'm gonna be ready to go. So that extended time, sometimes some services overlapped, of course, and some things take longer. That's one of the biggest lessons of my life. Everything takes more time than what you really think it's gonna take.
Talk about it.
But I used to try to keep my windows pretty approximate, and even now, talking to my old customers, it was one thing about it, you never had us in here all day, and it's because I don't want to see you my whole shift.
That's a fact. Listen, but I want to ask, you said that's one lesson that you learned, and I know life lessons don't always come with sunshine and rainbows. So how did you learn about things taking longer than you expected them?
Doing hair, if I block off a 2-hour increment of time for something, the customer, in my mind, ideally, you're gonna come in and we're gonna be ready to go and get right into it. It never goes that way. There's always some type of interruption for the intention every single time. So whether there's traffic or, hey, can you add this to this or this to that? It just takes more time. And for me, as I'm learning to give myself more grace, because, I give myself timelines now. And it's okay, sir, you are not Superman. You can only do so much in these hours. So give yourself more time than what you think is going to take you.
Yeah. I love it. Now, on your, with you learning this skill of you being able to talk to people, listen, you're in college for psychology. Were you still doing hair at that time?
So I started to do hair when I was in college. So I'm probably around 2021. I was in college, and just doing little side hustle gigs as hair. And I moved here when I was 23. So at 23, I had worked in making in my hometown for a while. For a while. But when I moved here, I was at a crossroads. It was like, you can continue to go this psychology route. This is something that it's interesting to me, but it's not something that I'm necessarily passionate about. I feel like if I do this, I'm gonna be uncomfortable because I'm not a suit and tie type of man. Or you can do what it comes naturally to you. You get to go to work cute every day. You can have a less structured schedule. So I was at a crossroad, and I quit my junior year. I was like, you know what? We're just gonna try this hair thing and see where it works. And that path, it was short. It looked short at that point. It was like, okay, go to hair school, get a license, work in a salon. It looked like a short path, but it's so long now. So I'm glad I chose it.
That's amazing. So you dropped out of college for your passion, and you never looked back. But the decision to be at a fork in the road and to go from choosing the traditional path to the pros of you actually being a hairstylist, what was that process like? Did you tell your parents? Were you no?
Let me tell you something.
Let me tell you something, Aria.
I was already grown at that point. There was nothing to be said, and I realized that everybody pushes you on these traditional routes because they didn't do it, and they want you to do it because they feel like it's going to get you somewhere that they didn't get. And that wasn't the case for me. So I didn't have any deliberations with anybody outside of myself, and I stood on it. I stood on it.
Dang, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so now fast forward, you decide to go become I want to say therapist, but I'm thinking a hairstylist, right?
A hair therapist. Yeah.
Hair therapist.
Yeah.
How did you how did you get your start in the industry? Your official start in Atlanta. You're new to the city. What did you do?
Man, oh my gosh, this is when the hustle started. So I didn't have a salon, I didn't have a license, but I knew what to do, and I took something that I was good at again and applied it to this. So prior to all of these things, you remember MySpace back in the day?
I do.
The kids used to pay me to design MySpace pages and to do little flyers and stuff for them. So I got on Craigslist, and I realized the same coding from MySpace is the same coding that you do for Craigslist. So I used to design these elaborate landing pages on Craigslist. Yep. And I'm Darius Boone. You're traveling hairstylist. Let me come to you. This is what we do. And I had a button that said click here where you could book the services online, so on and so forth. And that's how I ran the first place. So I started to get customers like that. I remember I had on this teal colored suit. I guess I didn't know it was branding then. I just wanted to look professional. But, I started to brand myself towards a certain type of woman, and they ate it up.
That's good. Were you, so you said that's the first play you ran. So in your mind, are you thinking long-term strategy, or are you let me do this thing, let me do this thing, now let me do this?
Yeah, I'm 23, so I'm definitely not thinking that, but I'm just I dropped out of college, so the school checks are about to end. Guys, I remember I moved here in August, I paid my rent up until January. And I think I stayed in school that entire first semester. So when I was about to go to hair school, I knew there was not any more funds coming. And it was either you're going to keep driving back and forth to Macon to make this little money, or you're going to have to figure out how to transition it here. So definitely was not a long-term strategy. It was more so a survival tactic so that I could pay my bills. And at that time, me and my friend was living in a 2-bedroom apartment. It was $650 a month. I had to come up with $325. But again, in 2011, that wasn't as easy as it is now.
Not as easy as you knew, because that back then, I feel like wigs were about. How much were wigs going for back then?
Nah, this was before then. This is before virgin hair was even. I mean, maybe virgin hair was a thing. I was just a country boy who didn't know anything about it. But this was before the girls even got into wearing good hair. They were still going to the Chinese hair stores buying hair at that point in time. So it wasn't as easy to come by. The wigs were in. The cute wigs, it was still taboo at that point.
Very true. My mom lived in, I say very true like I was there, but I'm speaking specifically to a story my mom used to, used to tell me. She lived in LA, and she said that back in the day when they used to get like hair pieces is what they call them, they used to have to go to the back of the hair salon to get their hair done because they didn't want anybody to know they had a hair piece.
I think back on times like that. Like I think like when I used to watch Martin back in the day and Gina, they used to have good hair, and like how people used to really want to convince other people that was their real hair, and it was something that you didn't ask people. And now you see a girl and it's like, girl, what length is that? How many bundles you got? Is that a closure or front? And it's just like, it's major invasion of privacy, but it's more talked about now because we know more.
You said invasion of privacy.
It is. It's just like, mind your business.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
I'm still interested in the business side of it, and then the gumption that you took to start the Craigslist page, to put yourself out there and to start doing hair. So I'm really interested about the business side of things. But the type of customer, this is still in the lane, right?
Okay.
You said you were branding yourself. You knew what type of client you wanted. And then we're also talking about this mindset around hair. So the client that you were looking for, what is her personality? Is she like high profile? She doesn't want anybody to know what she has in her head? What's it like?
No. So back then the ideal customer was either a kept woman, so like a housewife who had kids and couldn't necessarily get to the salon, but it's like, hey, I have a salon space here, or you can come here and set up shop and do my hair. Or it was more of a corporate CEO type of woman who was the breadwinner of the house, and she didn't have the time to get to the salon for these long services. Like weave services take time, so it just takes a lot of time. And most of the women that I served were like outside of the city perimeter. So it's just like, all the good hairdressers live downtown. I wish I had somebody in my area who did good hair. And I'm like, oh, well, I can be in your area.
Okay, you were traveling.
I was
That's
traveling.
Right.
So I would just come to them, set up shop. It was a good experience. I used to have a good time.
Can I ask you how much money you made? You were going from like $350 split $325 rent with your friend. Can I ask you, like, what was the first like set of income, if you will?
I don't even remember. Like I was surviving. I was trying.
You were still surviving?
Yeah, I was surviving, just trying to pay my rent, pay our utilities. I had just got my first car with the car note, so I'm trying to pay my car note. So I was just surviving. It really, I didn't know. I wasn't keeping up with it.
And it obviously wasn't like rolling in dough.
Yeah.
But you were still hustling. Got you. My mind is going between your ideal client and the business. I gotta ask you. You mentioned like the corporate, your ideal woman was the corporate woman or the kept woman, and I think about identity, like especially people leaving like their 9 to 5 because they can't wear their natural hair, or because they'll be judged, so they have to like keep the straight hair and make it seem like they have like white people hair, and there's so many stigmas, right, around your natural hair, so therefore you would prefer not to wear your own hair. What does that say for, like, what is the mindset, or what's the conversation around self-love, self-appreciation, and the desire to wear a wig?
Honestly, really not even a conversation in that aspect. It's more so a conversation of convenience. So the women that I dealt with, I don't think they would have had problems wearing their real hair. Before these weaves and wigs were a thing, they had to wear their real hair, whether it was relaxed or cut short or whatever. What I did was and this is when I realized value, I saved them time, because I'm coming to you every 6 to 8 weeks to do a new install of weave, where that is going to save you maybe 3 hours in the salon every single week. So it was more so a time situation where I made it convenient for them to look good all the time, instead of having to, wake up in the morning and flat iron this or wrap this or go get this roller set. So it was a convenience thing.
Convenience, not even like.
Not even.
Like what? Because like, okay, so here's the thing. It's like the conversation. You remember Good Hair with Chris Rock? And he talked about like how, people go all the way to India, steal those lovely ladies' hair who are sacrificing for the religion and sell it for, sell it on the black market before it goes to the real market. And you think about like the desire to not wear your actual like natural hair. It sounds like what you're saying is the conversation is not even about, you know, natural hair or my hair. It's just about, can you get me in and out so I don't have to do my hair anymore?
Yeah, it's not even that deep. Like on our side of the fence, it's not even a conversation of, you know, identity with natural hair and, you know, are people making you feel a type of way or do you feel any less than because of your hair? It's more so a convenience thing. Like, hey, I don't want to damage my real hair by doing all these processes. So, you know, I want to do this. I want to have hair color. I want to have blonde hair this week, red hair next week, but I can't do this to my red hair because I'm not going to have any hair. So it was more so that.
Yeah, you almost made me laugh. We want to keep our edges, okay?
Yeah.
So, I remember you watching you or on your social media. You're moving into the education space, and I'm going to get back into the business. I promise you.
Okay.
But you did an educational piece. What's the proper process that a woman should go through, like, and how does she know if it's the wrong thing? Because now she needs to know what to expect from a hairstylist who does care about the hair, but it is truly there for that convenience, but they're not going to leave you without your edges or without no hair.
So, okay, give me the question again.
What's the right process that a hairstylist should go through when a woman comes into for an install?
Okay, so the proper process that you want to go through when you're going in for an install, first and foremost, depending on the type of install, you want to have a consultation because every type of extension does not serve every type of client. So if you have someone who's actually offering consultations, you're probably in the right hands. They're not just trying to get your money. They don't want to make their life any harder by not giving you the right thing. Once you actually get there, you want to, again, have another type of consultation just so that the expectations are realistic because people come in with things and situations and circumstances and they have these outcomes that aren't realistic. So, you know, those types of conversations need to be had. Having your hair shampooed while you're there. I have this conversation on my Instagram all the time about these new age stylists who want you to come. My friend says, y'all want me to come to my hair appointment with my hair already done. And so basically they want you to come already shampooed, blow dried, detangled, but it's a time thing because they bad at time management. So if you go in and you get a shampoo regardless of the service, that is definitely something good to see. Something as simple as barbicide, knowing that they clean their combs, like just keeping certain things, the neatness of the area that they work in, the type of tools that they use. So you just want to make sure you're peeping the scene as a customer, but the process should look like you walking in at the time that you scheduled, you being serviced within, I would say maybe about 10, 15 minutes of you being there, a shampoo being included, and then you being able to leave. Like it should be a flow. Very simple.
We got to get back to the flow. But for now, you are servicing women. You are traveling install technician. How would you characterize that role?
Like my initial role, I was definitely doing installs, but I was doing everything. I wasn't turning no money down.
You would do a quick weave. You would do a what you call it? A roller set.
I was not doing a roller set.
Okay.
That was not my strong suit. I knew I couldn't do those in hair school. I never really got finished with them on the mannequin, so I never tried that on a person. Okay. But I was doing color. I cut it. Whatever you needed me to do, I would do it. And if I didn't know how to do it, I'm watching YouTube videos when you book the appointment and all the way up until I get to your driveway. And the thing is, I'm good with what I do. So it was like, I'll figure it out and it's going to be okay.
What year was this?
This was like 2012 maybe.
Okay, YouTube University. Let's go.
YouTube University, one of the very first graduates.
I love it. I love it. So when did you start to get the idea, okay, I don't want to do travel installations anymore, or not even just installations, but travel hair technician anymore. I want to do something different.
Once I got my license, so I did that until I got my license. And once I got my license, I had the right to go and work in a salon. So I got my license in, I want to say maybe like March of 2013, and I was in a salon later that year. So I went the salon route.
Okay, was there different income potential, or was it about the same?
It was more income because I chose a salon that was very, very popular that had a lot of walk-in traffic. So it was basically what I liked about it. It was like, okay, instead of me traveling around to all these people, because when you're traveling, in Atlanta, I used to be like up in Canton, then I got to try to drive to Marietta, then I got to try to drive here and there. It's just like I could be in one central location and everybody can come to me.
Yeah.
So I like that a lot better.
And when you were traveling, how many heads could you service when you were traveling versus when you were sitting in a chair?
On a good travel day, and I'm still young and I didn't really know what I was doing, maybe 2 or 3, but in the salon, once I got in the salon, like I used to be there, I call it a trap. Like I used to be in a trap all day. I get there at 9 o'clock, I might not leave until 9. So I can knock out 9 people. So it used to be a marathon.
I love it. Now as a professional, we talked about the difference of like professional hairstylist, you branding yourself, identity, all of these things are coming into one. Now you're going from like kind of hustling to going into an environment where there are people who have been doing hair for a long time. There are people who probably haven't. And so how are you finding that you are fitting into the culture at the hairstyle, your first salon?
I fit in pretty well, but honestly, it was still a hustle. Hair is such a hustle. People don't realize the corporate, well, I won't even say the corporate, but the structure within it. People start their own salons and it's still a hustle. So they're in their salon hustling against people that they hired who should be helping them.
Oh.
So that's why I do what I do, because they have no clue like how large it can be and the type of work and development that it takes to really create something that can run without you being the heart of it.
So if you were to think about the ideal setup, like you as Darius and whatever side of the future, let's say 5 months from now, what exactly do you want to go into a salon and do? Like, what's the result that you really want to do for a salon?
So if I was to do a salon now, I actually just mapped this out not long ago.
Ooh, break it down.
So basically what I would do is, again, women are so used to not being treated well or dealing with unprofessional stylists that I would have like an upscale, like salon bar situation. I literally mapped this down. I would work 2 days a week. I would work Tuesday and Thursday because I'm running 11/11 Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. So it would be me being in the salon 2 days a week. I would have 2 other people in there with me. I would have a shampoo technician, and I would have a braider. You know, they would assist me with the flow, so we could take as many people as we needed to, but it would be an experience for women who don't want to be around. When you go to the salon, sometimes you just want to be quiet and not be bothered. Like some people like the camaraderie of it, but most people want to be relaxed. So it would be a relaxing spa type of situation where we would just be, we would be running it up. Like everything would be, everything would be high ticket because of the experience itself and because of the flow of it. So yeah, you would come in, as soon as you come in, hey Ariel, you know, come over to the shampoo bowl. Would you like champagne or would you want a smoothie? You come down, you know, you sit down, you get your scalp treated the way you needed to. Then you would move to the next person who would braid your hair if you was doing an install. And then it would just be me doing the part of the job that I liked, which was, you know, sewing and curling. And we would get people in and out of there on those days. And then the rest of the days, so Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, I would have like associate stylists so people could come in and receive the same type of service, but it wouldn't be me, like, cause I would have my own prices, but so that I wouldn't be competing with my staff. So I would have, you know, like let's say my install would be $350, but my staff, it may be $250 or, you know, something else. So those other days, you can still come in and get service. It just wouldn't be me, but the same experience.
So you would structure it where if they want an appointment with you, they would do $350. But if they can't get an appointment with you, they would do $250 for your other stylist. Would you ever do like everybody, no matter, or how would you get it to a point where whether you're there or not, they would get the exact same hairstyle?
Okay, so the plan would be for me to be in the salon, because I planned this out. I would only come back for 2 years and then eventually phase back out again. And then the prices would be set. So how inflation works, the prices slowly trickle up anyway. So we would eventually get to that $350 price for everybody across the board, because then at that point my price might be $600. And the girls would be like, look, Darius, I love you to death, but we're not doing that. So, you know, it would be just me phasing myself out so that everybody can be on an even playing field price-wise.
So your goal is to teach your process to all of the salon technicians, to the point where you no longer work in the salon and everybody just does your process and everybody's getting paid the same amount. That's actually much more reliable. Because when I come into the studio, it's like people are people, right? We're human. We could be sick sometimes. Like we could be late. Our baby could be sick. And it's honestly and truly, like, I don't want to feel like if this person goes down, I'm screwed. Like I gotta get it.
That's how y'all be feeling?
Absolutely.
I can imagine. Dang, I never thought of it from that perspective.
Absolutely. I don't like to feel like, I like the relationship that I have with my loctician, right? And I'm not just talking about my specific, I'm just saying, like, if I go get my hair done, it's a barber, right? It's the relationship, right? But if you are not available, I don't want the panic. I have a photo shoot tomorrow. I got this big thing tomorrow. And now I have to, like, truly stress about the quality. Who am I going to trust to do the quality of style?
You want the standard to be across the board.
Yeah.
That's what I learned from the salon that I was in. No matter who you went to in that salon, because of the atmosphere that she created, you knew you were going to walk out and you was going to be fine. So if your stylist was not available, it's like, okay, I'll just go over here to Megan, or I go over here to Paris or somebody. The conversation might be different, but the quality of work would be the same. So I understand.
That's where I'm at with it. And as a client, I don't like to feel indebted to have to go to you. If you're not here, I need you to be like, okay, well, this person, I trust this person to do your hair. I don't want you to feel like, if I'm not there,
you got to wait.
That's how you feel?
If you want it my way, yeah, because again, we may have all been trained the same way, but you know how it is when everybody goes different ways to get to the same goal. So it might not be what you're necessarily used to, and the outcome. And we're artists, so everybody has their own touches to things. So it may not be exactly the same. And I would always tell my clients, I would recommend them to people, even when I retire. Who do you recommend? I'm just like, you could go wherever, but it's not gonna be the kid. Like you could.
I'm struggling. I'm struggling because in this, in the Great Resignation, people are leaving their jobs. People want to leave doing what they're doing. It still leaves people to need to get their hair done. And what really, really is frustrating is like the stylists who so desperately want to leave the chair, but not place someone in the chair who is good enough to replace them. I think stylists should be thinking about succession. You get what I'm saying? Like when I say succession, I mean like you need to have somebody ready to take your spot at a moment's notice, because everybody wants to go on vacation on a Monday.
They don't think like that. They don't think like that. And our community is extremely competitive, so it's hard enough to have a salon and find people to work in your salon just to pay you booth rent. So to find someone to come in and take over your clients when you're not there is...
Well, what do we do, Darius?
Wait till your stylist comes back.
No.
Wait till your stylist comes back. Yeah, there's really nothing to say about it. Like, I don't know any stylist, friend of mine, who has a person in their area who can take their clients when they're not there. Like, our industry is so, again, it's hustle driven, it's boss driven. Nobody wants to work underneath anybody. If you have not noticed, the trend of salons are starting to disappear. And I noticed it a while ago. That's why I never opened a full salon of myself, because I was like, what we're not going to do is have this salon and grow this audience and have these girls coming here for this experience, and I'm constantly changing out people all the time because the stylists don't want to stay. So yeah, you gotta wait till your stylist come back.
Okay, so here's the thing. This is how I feel about like individuals, because I think that yes, there is this desire to not work under someone. But I do believe that what leaders are failing to realize, and the reason I say leaders is this is in corporate and this is in entrepreneurship, is people are always going to need someone to work for you. But because we have this mentality where like, I don't want to have a job anymore. If you're an employee, you this, it creates another stigma. Coming back to a stigma. If you're an employee, you working for somebody. You are not the boss. Where your boss at? Da 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 da. Right? But I do believe that if you understand what your employee's vision is, and you truly do build them up based on who they want to be. You know they want to be an independent stylist. You know that they want Like, help them foster the type of person that they're going to be.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I do believe that the salon industry could crumble.
Yeah.
And it's not a sustainable business to be an individual hairstylist.
Yeah.
And not have a succession plan. Your empire goes when you die. Why not train somebody up who has a vision?
That's exactly why I created 1111 Extensions, because I realized exactly what you said, and I was like, I need a tangible product, so if anything ever happens and I am not able to stand behind this chair for these hours, I still have a product that I can send out. So yeah, they don't really think like that. They don't.
But Darius, even with your product, I still don't get my hair done.
Yes, you do. I can.
Listen, you like, I'm on vacation. Go buy that course.
I'll be on vacation. This is the thing. The way that I have my company set up, I could be on vacation and I run my wig company from my house, and I have workers who come into my house who basically I've trained them in my methods to do everything. So honestly, the place that I'm in my business now, the wigs that the women are receiving, I don't touch. So I guess that would be my succession, but you have to create something where I can go on vacation. I'll be gone for 2 weeks at a time, and the orders are still going to be filled regardless. But when you're servicing a client, you know, needle and thread, doing all this curler, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel it. To be continued, because until then, we're going to have
We're going to figure it out.
Yeah. So you are at the salon. You go from traveling to in a home. And so tell me about your development as a professional. Like, you talked a little bit about your branding. So what type of clients do you find come to you now? Is your ideal client changing? Or
Nope, it's the same type of woman. If anything, I've changed.
Tell me more.
So if anything, I changed. I was a youngin', so I didn't know much. Like, I was just figuring it out, navigating it. Now I'm way more intentional. That's why I can say we serve coaches, CEOs, content creators, and corporate women, like, because those are the type of women that I align with, you know, at this age that I am now. When I was in the salon, most of my clients were the same type of women. Like, it went from being, you know, the kept woman kind of fizzled out, or it became a different type of kept woman who, like, she was kept, but she still had her own. I was just like, what? I was just amazed by the type of women that I ran into. And honestly, the beauty of me being in the salon and how I am now, I am who I am now because of the women that poured into me. So I stayed true to those types of women. So I don't want to, if you are anything outside of them three things that I said, I mean, I could serve you, but I don't know if we would necessarily align. But yeah, the customers changed, stayed the same. I grew up. You grew up.
And you remember that the part where you said that there was like a stigma of like male hairdressers. As finally you get to a male, like not a male, but a man, right? You're an adult, and you're a man hairstylist. Do you actually come face to face with any of that judgment that you experienced when you were younger? The best way to support the Work and Play podcast is by subscribing to the YouTube channel and by going to your favorite podcast player to subscribe and rate the Work and Play podcast. That's all you have to do. So if you are liking the Work and Play podcast, the content, the stories that we're sharing, and you know that this will help someone, go ahead and share the content to someone who could actually use it and help them on their journey to transition from corporate into entrepreneurship. Now let's get back into the episode.
The times change. So, you know, when I'm younger, you got to think, when I was going through that stigma of what I feared would be said about me being a hairdresser, I was in Macon, so I was in a different place. This was, you know, earlier 2000, so 2006, 7 versus now, you know, 2013, 14, where we're on Instagram and we're seeing the Kellen Derricks and we're seeing the Tokyo Styles, these glamorized male Hollywood hairdressers, and all the women flock to the men hairdressers at this point. So at that time, it went from being something that I feared to being an advantage. And I played into the advantage. So I was like, okay, I know that so when I went to the salon that I worked in, I was the only boy there. They ate it up.
My mom's hairdresser was a man. His name was Big Perm.
Oh my God. Y'all would not call me Big Perm. You're not gonna know.
I think about like the difference. So do you ever, you know, it's funny because a lot of things that I'm curious about, I ask you, like, it's not that deep. But
you just think differently, and it's on this side, you got to think this is beauty. So it is I won't say it's shallow, but it's surface level. So being a deeper thinker in this industry will have you flustered a lot of the time.
I feel like my time management will suffer because if I'm a psychologist and somebody sits in my chair and they're talking to me, I feel like I'm doing their hair, but I'm also working with them as a therapist, right? That definitely is my problem. I would say that would be my problem if I was a hairstylist.
It wouldn't be mine because once I'm done what I'm doing, the conversation is over.
Like, yeah, gonna dry them tears, baby.
Yeah, girl, it's gonna be okay. Just pray about it. You know, see it with yourself, and know how you really feel when you coming back. Okay,
right. I got you.
Yep.
And still feel welcome to come back. What I was gonna say is, even when it comes like big perm, when I think about some of the when I think about the male stylists that I know. The opposite of a stigma is that like male stylists do better hair. Yeah. Like it's just something with like maybe the technicality of it or just the way you guys work with like creative things. Yeah. Do you know what that is that differentiate a male hairstylist from a female hairstylist?
I would say, you want it for real?
Give it to me.
Okay, so I don't really feel like there's a big difference skill-wise between a male and a female hairdresser. I think what it is women view other women as, I won't say competition or maybe a threat. So when a man is doing your hair, you're not feeling like, oh, he finna mess this up for this, these reasons. So they're a little bit more at ease with me. I used to tell my female coworkers all the time, I was like, the things that I say to these women, if you were to say to them, y'all would be on this floor right now. So I don't really think it's a different skill situation. I think most women like masculine energy. So even if you have a flamboyant male hairdresser, it's still a man. So you just feel a little bit more at home versus this woman behind you touching you. So
that's real. I think that's really interesting. I can't help but to think deep about it because I'm just like, what if
our hands are bigger? Like we really can't do like some of the stuff. I can't do certain stuff because my hands are so large.
Really?
Yeah. So I don't think it's a difference.
You don't think males are like positioned better to be hairstylists?
Maybe I would say maybe a little bit more attentive to detail, but outside of that, no.
Okay, attentive to detail. That's big.
Yeah.
I do believe that. I remember like certain like swoop styles, like Big Perm wouldn't have did that,
This Big Darius wouldn't have did it either. I don't like a swoop.
I got you.
That's not my thing.
Do you ever? I don't know what like hair shows and stuff are like in 2022, but. Do you ever think about using your brand or your platform to do things like that?
Absolutely. Like long term for what I'm building now, that's exactly where I see it. I would want my program to almost be like a seminar for continued education for stylists, because even if you look on your Instagram now, I'm pretty sure you follow hair pages. Everybody shows you how to do the skills. Let me show you how to do this frontal. Let me show you how to make this wig. They never show you the business behind it, setting the budgets for it, running the campaigns for it, outsourcing the help for it. They never show you that portion. And I feel like that's something that we really need. So that is something that I want to do.
So as far as outside looking in, hair shows are not just about like the actual like show part. There's education around like the business side of things, or is that happening right now?
Sometimes, yes, it is, but people don't pay attention to that part. I've gone to hair shows for years, and it's a whole bunch of shenanigans on the floor. It is a hair show in the beauty community. Going to the hair show is like going to, I won't say the Grammys for hair, but it is like going to the prom for hair. So everybody got on their wildest get up, the craziest hair, and it's more of a show, and it's, people selling things. So it's a show to be seen, to meet people who you haven't met before, and to sell what you have. There are educational classes going on behind the scenes, but they don't even advertise the classes as much as they do the experience of the show.
Got you,
Yeah.
which is the important part. I remember I selected a hairstyle, a hair salon literally because of the booking process. I just love the way the website was set up. I was like, all I had to do was find a time, book what I needed, pay.
That used to be me, pay your deposit, and hey, I'm just calling to confirm my appointment. Baby, you ain't got to confirm anything. If it's on the books, I'll see you there.
That's the type of relief. That's the type of convenience I would pay
It's an
for.
Experience, yeah.
Whew, my goodness. And to learn that at a hair show, I think that's invaluable.
Yeah.
So if that's the type of education that you want to do, that's important. Up until this point, we've like gotten clear on like who you are as a professional. Like you have pretty much figured out your way through the business as a hustler, and then you've actually gotten your certification to become a professional, and then you've learned the things that work well for a hair salon and what hasn't. And I'm thinking about the journey, because even though you're not in corporate, a lot of us, we have to learn about where our internal drive is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't necessarily, I use motivation, like Jim Rohn's, Les Brown.
Yeah.
That's what got me up out of the bed every sometimes. But at some point it has to be an internal drive.
Yeah.
Now, for me, I necessarily have like this like living out of my house, you know, not my house, but my car, or some type of like eating syrup sandwiches or anything like that. But like for you, do you, like what was your syrup sandwich moment, or what was that thing in your life that you remember that you're just like, I'm not going back here, and that's not gonna happen, and I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna continue to drive forward.
I'm living through that moment now.
Really?
I'm living through it now. So I watched your episode about having an exit strategy, and I thought I had an exit strategy when I left the salon, and I did not have a solid one. So leaving, okay, I explain it to people like this. When I left the salon, that was like me quitting my job. So now I'm running this wig company. The wig company was doing good sales, but I never really knew how to manage the money or pay myself from that. So now I'm having to really trim down the fat in my personal life so that I can see this wig company through. So that would be my syrup sandwich moment. And it's like, okay, we see how humble we have to be, and we see how we used to live. We're not ever going back to that again. So, you know, we have to really drive this thing on home if we're going to do it.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so you said paring back. So what's the shift? What's the plan right now? You said you mapped it out. What's the next step that we have to see from Darius?
Oh, that mapping out, me going into the salon was just me listening to Rachel Rodgers and trying to map out them $10,000 quick.
Good.
But nah, I just don't see me going back. I'm down for taking some steps back to take steps forward, but I just know how time consuming it is to be a hairstylist. And the reason that I really left, and the reason I'm thankful that I left, is when you're in a position of being a stylist and you're going into the salon every single day, you don't have time to sit down and evaluate your business. You're constantly on go. So I don't want to ever go back to that again. I like being able to sit still and kind of see what is happening. I like being in the position of the observer. So where we're going with it now is more education and more consulting to help other people.
You said you watched the episode on exit strategy and you thought you had an exit strategy. When did you decide, oh, I need an exit strategy?
I had already exited.
Hold on, wait a minute. So that's why you
That's why I left that comment that day. I was like, where was this last year when I needed it? Because I thought I had an exit strategy, but I did not. I was like, okay, we're going to save up 6 months of living expenses.
Okay.
You know, we're going to do this thing. Like I have a 3-bedroom house. I had a tenant in my house, so what I guess I did have an exit strategy. It didn't play out the way that I thought it was. So it happened years. It took years to get there. So the first thing was I had a car with a car note, got rid of the car, bought a cash car. So now we're keeping that money. Let the tenant move into the house. Now we have less living expenses. We saved up 6 months of our portion of what we needed to pay for everything. And, I'm like, okay, we got 6 months to figure this out. But again, we still in this pandemic. Things are a little shaky. So many things. It did not work out how I thought it was going to work out. The tenant ended up losing her job. So my 6 months of expenses turned into 3 months. So then I had 90 days to figure it out. So we just had to figure it out in 90 days. But it's so crazy. During that time was when I actually joined the morning meetup. So it was perfect timing. So
when was this?
Like maybe last year around July, August.
Okay.
And I just started to, now that I got this time because I'm not in the salon, and I got to really figure it out. I joined the community, and I'm just like, oh, so this is how you run plays. So ever since then, every single month, it's been something different that I just been trying and testing and tweaking over and over again.
Has it been profitable?
Yeah, it's been. I'm still here.
Right?
I am still
That's
here.
That's the success of the journey. It's like
I am
when
still here.
So technically, you did have an exit strategy. It sounds like the faux pas was the pandemic. What else was it?
No, I guess for me, I had an exit strategy, and the thing was, I was just antsy to get out of there. Like, I was ready to go. I was so ready to go. And if I could have done it all over again, once I sold that car, I would have just saved up, and I would have gave myself a date where we would want to do it, and I would have been a little bit more structured and disciplined in like the financial aspects of it and getting other things in place. But I was like, if you don't do this now, you're not gonna do it.
Absolutely.
I kept giving myself different days. It was like, okay, January 2021, we're gonna leave the salon. January, I ended up staying until April, and I'm just like, I quit. So I quit.
So you had to leave. Sometimes people have to like just take that leap in order to make it happen. But it sounds like you did think about the things that you could have at the time.
Yeah.
I would say, the emotions, like the rush of like, I just got to get up out of here. That part.
I was drowning, man. I had to go.
You mentioned earlier you didn't have guidance. And I can't remember if it was before the podcast started or when or why, during the podcast.
Yeah, me either, but I didn't. So when you are in the hair community, okay, if I'm a 23-year-old hairdresser, there are 35-year-old hairdressers, there are 45-year-old hairdressers. We all work together. So there's no outside of, hey, you might want to use this toner to tone that down. There, career path wise, there isn't any guidance. So I didn't know really. I'm like, so where do you go? So I guess the end goal is just to own a salon. So I thought that's
what it was. And now it's something completely different.
It's completely different.
Kind of reshaping the levels of like what a career trajectory could be. So as we wrap up and we think about that career trajectory, right? For somebody who feels like being a hairstylist has no security, like, so I'm gonna just want to either keep my little, corporate job, or I'm gonna just go the college route. I'm gonna get the degree. I'm gonna go do whatever I'm supposed to do traditionally. What would you say in an empowering way, or to help someone understand the opportunities that they have in this industry? What would you say someone should do or could do to, take their next steps and make a solid career in the hair industry?
I would tell them to honestly follow your gut and to niche down. I feel like once you do one thing within the industry, if you niche down and you follow that course, it will lead you into other things. I will also tell them to understand that we are in a career where we make money very quickly and it goes very quickly. So educate yourself on finances and proper business structure. Most of us who work in this industry, we lack corporate structure, so we don't know anything about systems, time management, all of those things. Be familiar with those types of things, because that is what's really going to take you to the next level. If not, you're literally trapped in a rat race. Like, I make $1,000, I'm gonna spend this $1,000, but I know if I go back to work, you don't think about putting your money in other things so that you don't have to be in the race all the time. So I would definitely just tell them to make sure they get education on finances and how to really run and manage a business.
That's beautiful. Yeah. Thank you. That's really powerful. I didn't realize the lack of structure that the hairstylist industry might have.
You can tell.
Well,
You can't tell.
I mean, to a degree now.
Yeah.
I had enough appointments go outside of the time frame, so I struggle with like, can I just? But what you made me realize is, wow, a lot of us corporate professionals are running away from structure.
Yeah.
It's very much needed in the industry. I'm seeing a synergy between corporate professionals who have that systems and business acumen.
And that's why it's a collide, because you have these creatives who I just go into work and I do what I want to do. I show up when I want to show up. And you have these people who are living on calendars, and it's just like, poof, and it don't fit.
I was gonna say a little. It could. If you were to get to do whatever you like, what you like to do, you like to do the curling, you like to do the installs, and I just come and set your booking system up, I do your processes, and let's say I even train your employees.
Yeah.
Because I enjoy that part of it.
Yeah.
But all you have to do is provide your SOP. Like, this is what I do first, this is what I do second.
I just learned what the SOP was last year.
Really?
Yeah. I've never had a corporate job. Like, you got to think, my last job was when I was 22. I worked at Advanced Auto Parts. There was no SOPs. And most other people who work in the beauty industry, I know you don't hear, I'm pretty sure Big Perm had been doing hair since he was 13.
Yeah.
You never really have a job, so you don't know anything about that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So we really be out here just freeballing, trying to figure it out.
Well, let me tell you how we can help. I'm just saying, if the next person you find who has a passion for hair might not be good at hairstyling, I think that a person, because I enjoy it, but I know I get tired of it.
Yeah.
But I do see that if you get to do what you like to do, which is the hair part, and I get to learn your process, train your team, and ensure, oh, that's not the Darius part.
Yeah.
That's not the flip. That's not the swoop. And I can. It's called quality control.
Yeah.
I make sure that, you know what I'm saying? I make sure that this is exactly how Darius would do it. That right there, that's a succession plan.
It is.
Because Tiffany does her swoop just like Darius now. You know, Tiffany and Ashley might have a bit of a difference, but everybody is doing Darius's.
It has to be a common, and that's why I play operations manager in the company. And I had to tell a customer yesterday, she was like, you know, I received tracking information on my order, but my wig hasn't been sent. And I told her, I was like, we printed out the shipping label because your wig was about to be sent. It was ready, but it didn't pass quality control, because everything has to have a certain standard before it leaves out of here, and it has to look as though I did it. So now that I know about SOPs and, you know, all these different things, I do have them. They in different parts of the building of the business, whether it is our operations with our wig makers, or for the wig prep team, or even just anything, like even how we post on social media. I had to, when I tell you last year was a journey, but now the business is actually a business. It's not me, you know. I thought me being in business was just, as long as I got everything done, it was done. And it's like, no, there's a system and an order for how everything has to be. And again, but that's flow. So, you know, now that I understand flow and I've created it within my business, things go well. Like we could have did this on Monday afternoon and we would have been completely fine. The wigs were still going to be shipped 5 o'clock on Wednesday.
Oh, I love a process. I love a good process.
Me too, at this point. So now, even when I came in, I'm just like, oh, this is your process.
Absolutely.
I peep game.
I got a whole SOP. When next time it's going to be a little checklist and stuff. Because everything has to be like, I don't know, it just gives me peace.
It does give you peace to know that you've met the mark and you know exactly what is going to happen is going to happen.
Yeah.
I understand.
Oh my goodness. So I have enjoyed your story.
Thank you.
You developing as a man and as a stylist, all of that stuff really, like, I don't know, like just the way you tell it. And I think like as you get into it some more, you're going to give us a little bit more sauce on some of the nitty gritty.
What kind of nitty? Let's ask. Like, what
I don't know. So like, I guess it's more like, you know, your least favorite customer. What was the worst customer you ever did hair for?
So all my least favorite customers, I used to name them Stressica. So the other girls would know if a Stressica was in there with them or not, because they recognize a Stressica themselves. Stressicas were girls who always showed up late. They always wanted the most, and they always had the littlest amount of hair. I'm just like, you want these great expectations. You're coming here late rushing me because you got somewhere to go. The Stressicas was girls who were women who thought that their time was more valuable than mine. And as a man in my salon, it's like, what? This is my show, so we're not even gonna come in here with that type of energy and with all of that. I used to. People would come to their appointment late, then slide the door. Oh my God! And I would literally just stand at the door like, late, you're late, you're late. I'll see you tomorrow, because I'm not. I have things to do. That. Yeah, if I went. One of the hardest things about being in the beauty industry is creating boundaries between you and your customers, because they feel like they're paying you. They think that they can just show up late and they can do all these things. So yeah, like creating boundaries within the business where I wasn't always flaking on my friends because I'm thinking I'm getting off at 6, but I end up getting off at 10 because you came late or you wanted this extra stuff. So creating the boundaries, and I had a lot of struggles, and I got to a point later in my career where I started to fire clients, and it was just like, her conversation not good. She just, we just not doing it.
That's good. Now here's the thing. Okay, when it comes to conversation, I'm looking for an entrepreneur loctician. Is that too hard to ask for? Because you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I'm looking for somebody who can like tell me about their stock portfolio while they do my hair.
I mean, I'm pretty sure there are people who are going to. I think that's why the girls like me, because I'm just like, oh, what y'all do? I'm putting them on game. Like, I used to be teaching the girls business credit while we was in the salon. I'm giving you a mixture of personal development because I like the same people. Les Brown, Jim Rohn, all of that. The stuff that I listen to every morning before I get to the salon. A matter of fact, you come in there, you the first customer today, you're going to either be listening to Les Brown, you're going to be listening to Sarah Jakes Roberts, something along those lines, and then we're going to get down to the course of business stuff. So I used to teach people about all types of opportunities while we were there. So I'm pretty sure you could find an entrepreneur loctician who, you know.
I need to just get a wig. Can I just sit in your chair? You can do me a wig?
I don't have a chair anymore, but you definitely get a wig.
Okay. You're not doing the wigs no more either, so I can't get the...
I mean, it was still... It's going to give Darius stuff, so
no, I need the conversation. I need the conversation. If I don't, I guess
they used to love it. Them girls used to want to be my best friend, and that was the hardest part. The boundaries in that. It's just like, you know, I'm just your hairdresser. They want to come. My clients had started going on vacation with me. They invited me on vacation with them. We going to dinner together. I'm meeting the husbands, but you create that bond, so I understand.
That's beautiful. Yeah. I mean, and then because you have the therapist background, the psychology background, being a hairstylist allows you to create a better bond than like if you were an actual therapist, because then it's like, nah, I can't go on vacation because I'm seeing the person you just got done telling me about
It's still the same. It's still the same. I'm just like, oh, okay, I see.
Right. Oh my gosh, no, I'm enjoying this conversation, and so thank you again.
You're welcome.
Before we close up, I do want to know, what would you say is the greatest thing that you've learned about yourself as a professional or as a man in this journey?
As a professional, the greatest thing that I have learned as a professional, when just to give grace to yourself and to others. That's just across the board, honestly. That's personal and business. As a person, I'm all business, but like I'm big on personal development. I feel like I just became a man last year. Just became a man. The way that I perceive the world and everything is completely different this year than what it was last year. And it took me going through so many situations, so many different things. So, but again, the same, like, give grace to yourself. And once you give it to yourself, you can give it to others.
I believe that's how we're going to get to our life of work and play. Honestly and truly. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for watching if you're on YouTube. If there is somebody out there who is connecting with your story, they want to learn from you, they want to take a step towards your life of work and play, how can the folks connect with you?
You can follow me on Instagram. My name is Darius_Boone.
That's it.
Yep.
There we go. You can reach out. I'm sure there's a link in the bio whether you want to.
Come on now.
All the stuff.
No, there's
all
a link in the bio. Yeah, with all the things.
I got you. Yeah. Well, you guys know exactly what to do. If you want to connect with Darius, or if you want a special wig, there's going to be, of course, information below you can contact, so that you can contact Darius. But until next time, thank y'all for listening. Thank you for watching it, and see you guys next week.
All right, see you later.